Hi, I am Vikas Kochar from Lucid Expressions, which is an English language academy situated at the PPR Mall, Jalandhar. In the first part of this series, I talked about writing, the role of imagination in writing well, and I randomly chose a topic that is stray dogs uh, and requested you to write something on that topic. What I have done today is written two pieces on stray dogs. The first one is very brief, it's factual, and the second one is a short story. Today, I'll go through both the pieces. You can find them in the description below the video. And in our next video, which I'll release really soon, we'll dissect both these pieces of writing, sentence by sentence, go through their structure, go through the thought processes that go into making a piece, what it becomes. Down the line, not right away, but down the line, we shall also be uh, learning grammar in a very unconventional way, grammar with all its constituents, in a really easy to comprehend, non scary, and unorthodox way. So, without further ado, I begin the first piece that I wrote on stray dogs. I call it a factual approach piece, wherein we basically write down whatever we observe in our day to day lives. There are five stray dogs in our street. One of them is very aggressive. We call him Kalu. He lost one eye in a dog fight several years ago. He has attacked and bitten at least three people so far in his lifetime. These dogs sometimes bark continuously for hours on end. They defecate just about anywhere, ruining people's shoes and their floors. Many people feed them and give them water, but dogs living in streets is a serious problem, both for humans and the animals themselves. So, this is it. This is the factual approach. I kept it really short. We could have added a lot more matter to this, and we'll come back to this in the third part of this series. I now come straight away to my story. The night was unusually cold. I shivered as I sat staring at my table in our bedroom. I had an important exam the next morning, which necessitated my staying at home alone. The rest of my family was away attending a wedding. I shuddered again, not with cold this time, but with fear. Our home is an old Haveli with dozens of rooms, halls, and yards. Plenty of space for anyone to hide in. It is situated in a British era colony at the outskirts of our town. Acres of sugarcane fields surround our locality on all sides. Our street has 8 residences in all. All of them are sprawling buildings similar to ours. All the 8 were empty of their residents that evening. Every person, except for the 80-year-old Mehta twins, living in the last house on the left side, was at the same wedding as my parents and siblings. And then there was the fog. From a few wisps slithering on the ground, it had thickened into a solid grey curtain in the last half an hour. I looked out my window, but fog had swallowed our front lawn. And then I heard something fall and crash in our backyard. My blood froze in my veins. My spine tingled as though I'd put my little finger in a power socket. It's just a cat, I told myself. but someone cursed out loud just then. It wasn't anyone from my family, it was a stranger. There was a quick patter of running steps. The intruder or intruders were approaching our kitchen door. "Who is there?" I shouted. The footsteps halted for a moment before changing course and thundering towards my bedroom window. Shouting for help was useless. Who would hear me? Who would come to my aid? The era of mobile phones had not dawned yet. We had a fixed line telephone. I could dial 100 to alert the police. But the telephone set was in our drawing room, which was on the other side of the house. I would have to leave the security of my room in order to access the phone. Panic seized my heart and squeezed it painfully. I found it hard to breathe and impossible to think. I don't know what might have happened that cold, dark, foggy night had four unlikely saviors not come upon the scene. These four-legged creatures came in through a collapsed section of our compound wall. My father had been intending to get it repaired for several weeks, but fortunately, he hadn't gotten around to it. The stray dogs, born and bred in our street, came snarling and barking. Some mysterious canine instinct had summoned them. They were not our pets. They had no responsibility or duty to protect me. I had not even called them or thought of them. There had been dozens of times when I had chased them away with a stick or pelted stones at them, and yet they came. There were four of them. Their leader, Kalu, had only one eye. He had lost the other one in a dog fight several years ago. The dogs flung themselves on the burglars, who were apparently armed with sharp-edged weapons. I could hear the swoosh of metal cutting the air. The men attacked the attacking dogs. A racket ensued. Human screams mixed with the animals growling, barking, and yelping. The bedlam lasted for more than a traumatic minute. And then I heard the men fleeing towards our back wall. The dogs chased them, clawing and biting them, defeating them comprehensively. Kalu and his followers had filled me with courage. I unbolted my door and stepped out, taking a torchlight with me. The intruders had apparently managed to scale the wall. One of them had dropped his blooded knife behind. The poor dogs came wagging their tails at me. Only two of the four were moving. Kalu lay bleeding and whining on the floor. He had nasty-looking gashes on his throat and head. The second largest dog sat on his haunches. A steady stream of blood dripped from his muzzle. The other two dogs also had several wounds each, but all of them were thankfully minor. I ran to the drawing room and called the police as well as our family doctor. After tending to their wounds as best as I could, I sat with the injured dogs, taking their heads in my lap, petting them gently, crying and praying fervently for their survival until the police arrived. The second largest dog survived. Kalu was dead by the time our doctor reached our home. I can say with certainty that I wouldn't be alive to recount this experience had it not been for the stray dogs of our street. But they were stray and homeless no more. This is it. So this was my short story, and I would love for you to leave any comments or feedback that you may have about it. And also you can find the text in the description below the video. Uh, we shall take both these pieces in the next video, which I'll be putting up in a couple of days at the most. And as I said earlier, we'll examine each line and we'll start to see how these kind of pieces are written or can be written. With this, I take your leave for today and hope to see you very soon. Thank you.